Hello, this is Igoro, host of the Igoro Show, and you are listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. So keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
Hey, welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show, presented by thestevestrout.com. I'm Steve.
I'm Crypto Zoo. It's episode 99. Can you believe it? We're on the cusp. We're so close to episode 100. We just had our Halloween special a couple episodes back, and we're just right there on the edge.
So close.
So close. And episode 100 has something very special included. So just wait for that. We can't tell you what it is yet, but it's coming.
We'll announce it soon, probably sometime during the week, hopefully. But yeah, we have a pretty awesome guest lined up.
Yep, we sure do. That episode is coming up right around the corner. What I can tell you is that we have a Etsy page that you can head over to. I'm just going to hit you with everything that is included with the Steve and Crypto Show. We have an Etsy page. You can head over to Etsy/shop/Steve and Crypto merch to find you a couple different t-shirts. We have coffee mugs. We have magnets. If you would like a trucker hat, you can hit up Steve directly for one of those. We have a few left. If you want a sticker from us, you can answer some horror trivia, which you will hear in the episode later on. We also have a Patreon page, which is patreon.com/SteveCrypto. And you can head over there and check out some exclusive content. Some of the content is only going to be seen and heard there. Some of it you will get first. And eventually we might release it to other people to check out. But you're going to be the first one to check it out and experience it. So patreon.com/SteveCrypto. Go over there. Also, you can head to our Buy Me a Coffee page, which is buymeacoffee.com/SteveCrypto. And that is like a tipping service. It helps out the podcast in many, many ways. Helps out with merchandise, with advertising. If you are a fan of the show, which we hope you are if you're listening, it basically just helps us out and keeps us going. And we really appreciate everybody who has contributed to that so far. We thank you and love you very much. We do our best to keep this going, just the two of us, but your contributions help out more than you know. We also have a Facebook group that we encourage you to join and contribute to. If you look up the Steve and Crypto Show, you'll find us. And if you have something creative that you're working on, if you have a comic book, or maybe you just finished filming a movie and you have the trailer for that you would like to share, we encourage you to do so. Just post it in there and let everybody see it. Whether it's a track for your new album, maybe a script, maybe part of a script for something that you're working on, we'd love to see it. So yeah, look up the Steve and Crypto Show on Facebook and you'll find us and join the crew.
And of course, you can follow us both on social media. He is CryptoZoo88. I am the Steve Strout. We're both on Twitter and Instagram. Then if you know us personally, you're probably already friends with us on Facebook. We're very interactive. So yeah, those are all the ways to promote and support the show. And we also get a lot of promotion and support from companies like Fairflix. It's a streaming service that features a ton of indie horror films and some classics. You can find it on Roku. They feature some shows like After Hours Cinema, which is a great horror hosted show by our friend Lee Turner. It's a great show. He has a great cast of other hosts and hostesses on there. So go find Fairflix. It's super cheap for like a yearly subscription. Get in on that. And also, if you're looking for some gear besides your Steve and Crypto gear, some spooky Halloween vintage looking Halloween gear, head over to the Halloween Shirt Company. And I love their slogan. Their slogan is "Our designs take everyone back to a more simple time," and it really does. Their stuff just feels like, you see like the old vintage Halloween decor and stuff. It feels like that style of art and stuff, and I
Yep,
love their stuff.
you took the words from right out of my mind, man. I was thinking vintage. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. They really have a cool classic style.
So yeah, definitely go take a look at HalloweenShirtCompany.com. Check out their stuff, and if I'm not mistaken, first time visitors there get a little discount on your first order. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, HalloweenShirtCompany.com. Go check out their stuff. We're glad to promote them, and they show us the love right back. So gotta support.
Yeah.
See, this weekend we're gonna come through with some news and stuff. There hasn't been that much. There's been a couple little things that have really been worth mentioning. What would we have? We had the prequel series announced for the Friday the 13th about the Crystal Lake stuff. There's not much details. We just know that that's really it. Who is behind it? Was it Brian Fuller, I think? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember who's behind it. I know that's going to be a Peacock thing.
It's going to be on Peacock. I'm pretty sure it is Brian Fuller's project, who did he did Hannibal, which was awesome, and American Gods, and a bunch of other stuff.
The rights are really kind of a finicky thing when it comes to Friday the 13th. Like, basically, they got the okay to use, like, how do you say it? Like, you can use elements from Friday the 13th, like, but they can't use the hockey mask and, the standard Jason that we know. So they can find ways to get around that. And I'm assuming at some point we're going to see a younger Jason, maybe.
So was that mentioned in some of the news that they couldn't use the hockey mask image and stuff? Or I haven't seen anything about that yet. It's like there's like a million different stories out, and they're all like kind of different. So I'm just gonna kind of wait it out and see what the fuck is what.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, I'll at least share what I have read and heard from YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Again, don't quote me. I heard, like, I guess the creator of this series or someone behind the series was saying if they make it up to season 10, they would like to take Jason back to space, or like show us, something within the whole Jason X story. So I think maybe there's a chance that, like, each season is kind of going to be based on a film. So season 1 might be things that happened, that we didn't see on camera at Camp Crystal Lake, and it sounds kind of weird, but
I heard there's going to be a high kill count though, so that's good. That's
okay.
already promising.
I mean, Jason's mother is the main killer in the first one anyway, so maybe we'll see a lot of his mom going psycho.
Well, this article I pulled up from Sci-Fi says, let's see, who's this quote from? Okay, so Fuller himself said we can use everything. We can go to hell. We can go to space.
Yeah.
It's not to say we'll do these things, like you said, although if we do go 10 seasons, I'll be lobbying hard to go to space. Then another quote from him.
That's exactly what I heard, yeah.
Because initially I heard that he wasn't available, the character. But then this other stuff I'm reading, it's like, again, according to Fuller, I'm quoting this from this article, according to Fuller, having Jason make an appearance is definitely possible. And he hinted that he wouldn't count Jason out of Crystal Lake, and that over the course of the series, you will see many familiar manifestations of Jason. So, I think maybe we'll see Jason. I feel like if the first season comes out and it's successful, I think they'll be able to come up with some kind of settlement. Like, okay, could we get some of the money from this series? And,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Let's meet in the middle somewhere and work together on this, which is obviously not going to fucking happen because people are greedy and want money. But I just know, like, if you watched the Hannibal series, that shit was awesome and dark. And like, I feel like this is the dude to do a killer, no pun intended, series with Jason.
That pun was intended. Go ahead.
No, it definitely wasn't, but it worked. So we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
What else?
I have a little bit of Scream. Oh, go ahead.
Let me get this off my chest. One thing I'm excited for, you know how I've always been kind of disappointed with the DC movies.
You really?
Not all of them, just certain ones from a certain person, and then yeah, most of them. Most of them were kind of not that good. But with that recent announcement about James Gunn being like the co-chairman of the DC stuff,
yeah,
it gives me so much hope for the whole DC universe because fucking first of all, James Gunn is one of my favorite filmmakers. The dude is
he's
creative, great. Fucking lunatic genius.
Yeah.
Like, look at what he did. We've talked about it multiple times before. Like, look at what he did with like the Suicide Squad. Most of those characters nobody knew.
No.
And he turned them all into household names.
Just like Guardians.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, same thing.
Turned them into household names.
I didn't know who they were before watching that movie.
I feel like he just got the mind that could save DC from itself.
Yeah, well, I mean, DC's had a lot of duds.
Just make us forget about all that Snyderverse bullshit and
look at the last few decent DC projects. Many of them have been from James Gunn. Peacemaker, Suicide Squad.
I like the Shazam movie, and I like the first Wonder
I haven't
Woman
watched
movie.
it yet, but I want to.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, Shazam. I'm sorry, I was thinking of Black Adam. No, Shazam. I love that. Yeah,
I heard
it was great.
That Black Adam. Oh, from a podcast we both listened to, they said it was pretty brutal.
Yeah,
lots of kills and very almost horror-esque with the way he just fucks shit up. So that's cool. That's kind of exciting. But you mentioned Scream.
Yeah, just a tiny bit of news regarding Scream 6. So they moved the date. I guess the original date was well, at first it was supposed to be like January, I believe, maybe January of next year. Then it was March 31st, and now it's been changed again, but for the better because it's been moved up a few weeks. So now it's coming out March 10th.
Okay.
So Scream 6, March 10th. Looks like it's getting a theatrical release.
Some late winter horror for it.
Yeah. A couple weeks before my birthday, so that's cool.
There you go. You can buy yourself a ticket for your birthday.
Yeah. And then the following month, I think it's April 21st, we're getting Evil Dead Rise, which is also going to be in the theaters.
Yeah, that was
good for them.
That was an exciting announcement a little while back. I think that's something that's come up since last time we really took time to talk about news and shit here.
Yeah. They posted a still shot recently of a deadite in a hallway of an apartment complex, kind of looking in through a peephole, of a door. Ooh. It looks pretty neat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But I mean, if you look back, poster art can fool us. I watched a lot of bad movies in the 80s because of the badass fucking VHS covers.
Yeah, well, so many of us, I've probably mentioned this before, but so many of us have been there. I mean, if you're a horror fan, you've done that, like, through your times of going to the video store. You're like, well, this one looks cool. The cover looks neat. I'll try that.
The first couple of times, it's like, oh man, that's disappointing. But not then. It became like, oh, let me find the worst fucking one I can find. With this cover looks so bad. It's got to be amazing. And
yeah,
I think that's how a lot of my love of horror grew, just by watching bad fucking shit that was just so bad it's good, and it just grew on me.
There's some that are so bad they're good, and then there's some that just push that line further to where it's like, no, I'm not even enjoying this. Like, I'm trying, but some just they're hard to watch.
I honestly find that more with more recent modern movies than like 80s stuff. 80s stuff, you're going in and you're gonna get entertained, because whether it be the movie itself or just like the fucking clothes people are wearing, the looks and shit, it's like, god damn, we really dress like that. Like, what was wrong with us? That's horror in itself. Like,
and the music in some of those older ones too, like in the 80s like, films,
bad, like B-rated, C-rated hair metal bands and shit playing. Like, yeah.
Either that or like some pop star you've never heard of.
Yeah. It sounds almost like like this song sounds almost like a Madonna song, but it's
we couldn't get Blondie,
third rate. Yeah.
We got Brunette.
Yep. That's funny. That is funny. But so over to freaking weekend. We mentioned that the Olympic Collectible Expo was going down this past weekend. We've been hyping all the events we're doing. You went and did that and promoted the show a bit, and you sold a bunch of stuff. How did that go? We didn't really get to talk about it yet.
It was pretty good. I know the first little mention of it on the show, I believe, was on the Patreon clip that we just released, where we talked to JD from the show.
Well, we've been kind of promoting it for the last few episodes, that and other events and stuff that are coming up. But definitely we did put out that little Patreon thing. We ran into JD at Grit City Comic Con, which was another event a couple weeks ago. That went pretty well for us. We got to talk to a lot of people and shared our candy and gave away a couple prizes, which, we love to do that shit. But yeah, you did pretty well. Sounded like you had a lot of happy customers.
Yeah. It was cool. I mean, there was people that showed up that were into niche things that I actually had. You can't please everybody, so there's a couple people you unfortunately have to turn away because you don't have the pop that they're looking for. But there were quite a few folks that came up asking for Star Wars or sports pops or, horror or whatever. There was a family that were way into Transformers, and I happened to have a couple Transformer pops and a couple like little mystery boxes that they picked up. And we're like, most of the people that are selling these things, you're a fan of this kind of stuff like they are. So like, if they buy a mystery box off of you, you want them to open it up in front of you so you can see what they get and just see their excitement as well. You're kind of happy for them. And so
that way you're pissed off when they get the rare one that's worth $150 and you're like, fuck, I should open it myself.
Well, as I said, they bought two of these little mystery box, these Transformer things, and they opened up one of them and got a Bumblebee, and the other one was the Chase variant figure.
Right.
So that was kind of cool. They were pretty happy about it.
Good.
But yeah, managed to, sell a good amount of things and had a good time.
Did you I know sometimes when you accumulate a lot of stuff, and you realize it's time to let go of things. Sometimes it's hard to let go of certain things. Did you sell anything that you were like, oh man, I was hoping this wouldn't sell, I wanted to keep it for myself? Or was there anything that you were like sad to see go but happy it was going to a good home?
Not really. I mean, anything that I put out, I'm okay with parting with,
Right.
So no, I mean, I was glad to see things go to certain homes. Yeah. Like a mutual friend of ours just got a new car, and he bought one of my old, like, you remember those Simpsons figures, like the stuffed animal ones from back in the 90s?
Yeah.
I had the ones that had the hard-headed tops on them,
Yeah.
and then I also had like a soft Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
So our friend Shane bought the Bart from me to put in his car,
Okay.
So I was happy that he went to a good place. And
right.
There was a girl that came, I think she worked at Box Lunch, and was looking at my Maleficent pops. And I had two different ones, like one diamond one and one chase variant that glows in the dark. And she leaves, and then a different girl comes and she says, I'm the Maleficent fan. And I said, oh, your coworker was here, huh? And she says, yeah. She's like, she was looking for me. And so she was like, I got a break from work to come and check out what you have. And she ended up getting them both. And it was just cool because she told me that she was a big fan of Snow White and Maleficent and had a bunch of figures from that line already. So she was like, oh, I've been needing these. And it was cool to, there were people that just bought the pops and all right, thanks, see you later. But then there were some here and there that were like, oh, I have this collection and I've been looking for these, and I finally found them here. And it just feels good because we've all been there. You've
and
all
you're
been
like,
to that.
Why did I buy these? Now you found out why you bought them.
Yeah.
To help somebody else's collection.
So I could help out those collectors. Yeah.
There you go.
It was just nice. Like, as I was going to say, we've all been in that spot before where you go to a booth and you're like, oh, this person has what I've been looking for the longest time. Or like, there's that one figure that I needed to collect that or to finish that line. You know what I mean?
Or you find something that you've been looking for in like a weird place.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, who thinks there's going to be a fucking little collectible mini Comic-Con out in the fucking mall? You know what I mean? But you go and you find some shit like that you needed, and at least, in the least expected of places. So I feel like those shows are cool like that, though, because one, you go to a big Comic-Con, you're going to way overpay for a lot of things. You catch a little show, like I guess it's not like a mom and pop show, but it's a small show, mostly small vendors, not big time dealers. You're going to find deals and get cool shit like that. So, I mean, if anybody listening, if you see like a show like this pop up, like a local, like a little mini con or something at a fucking mall or like a community center, go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Support it. You'll probably meet some cool local artists, find some local indie comic books, maybe a filmmaker. Sometimes they have guests. I've had guests at my little convention app when I've had, actors from The Walking Dead and fucking, big publisher like Marvel and DC published creators and some cool shit. So go support these little shows. It's fun.
They're fun. I mean, go support and check them out. You might even find an event like that happening again next month, possibly at the Auburn Mall.
Maybe that's in Auburn, Washington.
Maybe on December 10th and 11th. Go to Unlock the Con's Facebook page, and you can find a bunch of info about the Winter Wonderland Con that's going to be happening there with vendors. There's going to be food trucks. They have a list of guests that are going to be there. I don't believe they have announced everyone yet, but there are a couple voices from Pokemon. And I know they're going to have the original stuntman from the 1978 Halloween film.
One of them.
Michael. Yes.
It was two people.
Yes. So one of the stuntmen from the original Halloween. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. go to Unlock the Cons Facebook page, and you can find all the info. And I hope to see you there.
Yeah, definitely do it. And of course, if there's an event with Steven Crypto, one or the other, or both of us together, make sure you come through, say hi, let us know you listened. We always got like stickers and cool stuff, and just pop by, let us know. Take some pictures with us, and we'll post them on social media and tell everybody. People will finally start believing us that we have fans. I try to tell people, like, people listen to us. We got fans, and they're like, no, the fuck they don't.
Yep,
Nobody
I got one
likes
fan
you.
in my bedroom. I got another fan in my son's bedroom. We have fans.
Well, shit, over the weekend, I didn't have no fans because there was no power. But yeah, my Crypto was off at his little mini Comic-Con. I was home in the dark, freezing my butt off. But it's all right. It gave me time to sleep, which I needed. I was getting a little behind on that stuff. But events. We kicked off October with that event at Jack Action Comics in Port Orchard, Washington. And we mentioned a couple weeks back that we recorded a couple interviews with the guests we had with us. So we are going to run our guest, Pat Moriarty, who is a underground independent comic creator, artist, done a lot of cool stuff, everything from Mad Magazine to making posters for punk rock shows and art covers for, album covers and stuff. And
Highlight Magazine, who didn't grow up reading those?
Oh yeah, Highlights Magazine. I think he said Nickelodeon Magazine. Well, he talks about it in this little chat. Check out this interview with Pat Moriarty, and then we'll send you a link. We'll set you up a link in the show notes to go check out his stuff on his website too. So meet Pat Moriarty, and we'll come right back after that with a little bit of trivia and to say goodbye and see you the next episode, which is the big one. It's the big one. Besides the Halloween one, it's the big one. Okay, we'll be right back.
Hey kids, I'm Jax, host of the podcast Here for the Booze. Grab a drink and join me in discussing themes in movies, movie recommendations with mild spoilers, movie trivia, decorating my creepy corner, my horror vinyl collection, and horror documentaries. Be sure to check me out on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, and Instagram. I'll be sure to give you the lowdown of all your favorite horror and maybe something new for you to enjoy. Come find me.
Hey, I'm Felissa Rose, Angela from Sleepaway Camp, and you're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. Yeah!
Hey, this is the Steve and Crypto Show. We are hanging out here in downtown Jack Action Comics in Port Orchard, Washington with Pat Moriarty.
Hello, nice to be here.
So we're here just kind of hanging out for a little while, just trying to let people know what we're about. We're also here with Jake from Northwest Mythology, and so we're just chilling. There's a line of people and comics galore. I wish you could be right here right now so you could see everything that we're surrounded by.
And we're very excited to have Pat on. I've seen Pat's work around for a while now, a few years. I met him at Grit City Comic Con, formerly Jet City Comic Con in Tacoma, and he was just about to release an animated short. What's it called? Beyond.
Oh, The Realm Beyond Reason.
The Realm Beyond Reason.
It was it was an animated horror film, and it still is, as a matter of fact. And it was written by Garrett Shanley, a former cartoonist in Dublin who's now a horror film screenwriter, and he wrote Vivarium that came out a couple of years ago, and he's got a few films under his belt, but The Realm Beyond Reason was maybe his last cartoon-oriented thing before he switched over to being a screenwriter for horror films. So it's a cartoon, but it's horrific.
I love your art style. It's very nice.
Thanks.
So tell us your background. Tell us the quick Pat Moriarty history.
Oh, the quick history. Let's see. I always say this, but my parents were both artists, and they met in art school in the early 60s. My dad was a cartoonist in the Navy in the 1950s, so I got that in my blood. So I'm the product of frisky art students. I grew up in Iowa, and I graduated from Iowa State University and immediately moved up to Minneapolis, where I became a guard at the Walker Art Center and frequented the club First Avenue and the CC Club and the Uptown Bar and Grill. And I started ingratiating myself into the music scene there and did flyers for punk shows and stuff, and eventually started freelancing for Twin Tone Records, home of The Replacements and Soul Asylum and those bands. Those guys were about my age. And then 1990 or so, I helped a friend move to Portland. And then I came up to Seattle to visit Fantagraphics Books, who'd already started publishing some of my work when I was still living in Minneapolis. And they offered me a job as a production artist there and eventually art director. And so I lived in Seattle for the 1990s. And then I've been here in Port Orchard since the year 2000. So I've lived here longer than any place in my life is Port Orchard. So it was a really short jaunt to come over here to the comic shop.
Yeah, I guess it's basically a suburb of Seattle, I'd say.
Yeah,
Sort
you
of.
can practically see the Space Needle from like Manchester or from, the other side of the hill there. You can see the Space Needle across the water. I think it's only 14 miles away the way the crow flies. So if you want to hop on the ferry, you could go to the showbox and see a show and come back. And it's like Mayberry over here, and it's like Metropolis over there.
Different world.
It's and they kind of be blissfully ignorant of each other. People still think I live on an island.
So do you think your environment affects your art style at all?
Oh, my environment, I guess maybe is seclusion, because this is a small town. There's not a lot going on. So I just stay home and work on artwork a lot. So it's good for that. It's like there's nothing to do. So I do art.
I'm sure living in Seattle in the 90s, that probably played into the art a lot, though.
Oh,
that was quite an era, especially if you're involved in music and music art.
The 1990s was kind of a renaissance for the Seattle music and cartooning scene, and lots of cartoonists showed up to Seattle in the 90s. There was Fantagraphics Books, and there were Starhead Comics. Michael Dowers was the main brain behind that, and he eventually worked for Fantagraphics too. And Peter Bagg moved to Seattle, and Jim Woodring moved to Seattle, and then Roberta Gregory and Jim Blanchard and David Lasky and so many. Sherry Flanagan is from Seattle, and she was like a Mad Magazine and National Lampoon cartoonist, and so many other artists. And so and then there's Sub Pop Records and all these indie labels, and the music and art scene seem to merge together. And so I really gelled as an artist from having lived in Seattle, Minneapolis too, but Seattle really made it happen.
So how would you best describe your style?
Oh, my style changes a lot, but I would say ridiculous. I would say underground comics oriented. I have done a lot of children's type artwork, like for Nickelodeon magazine or National Geographic Kids and even Highlights magazine, but it didn't really change my cartooning style. I just made sure there was no profanity in it. And Nickelodeon employed in the 1990s, a lot of underground cartoonists like Kaz and Johnny Ryan and Sam Henderson and Kim Deitch and lots of cartoonists kept these underground cartoonists alive with opportunities to do children's comics. There was a section in that magazine called The Comic Book. It was in the middle of Nickelodeon, and lots of underground cartoonists did G-rated comics in there. And then National Geographic Kids kind of started to recruit artists from Nickelodeon, and that's how I got into that. And then, I'd probably say, how would I care? It's hard to characterize yourself, but I'd probably say highly detailed pen and ink drawings that are ridiculous.
And I definitely feel a very punk rock kind of vibe too.
Yeah, and that goes back to my days with Twin Tone and my way into punk rock. And I've probably done a couple hundred covers by now. If I think of like 45 records, CDs, 12-inch vinyl records, and cassettes. I've just done a ton of them, and even clear up until now. It's like if you want to talk about Kitsap County, I've done artwork for Neutral Boy and Weirdos and Devil Built, and there's a few others that there's a good local punk rock scene just in Bremerton, and there's Ball Bag. They're from Renton. I've done a couple of covers for them recently, and I also end up finding myself doing posters for shows and festivals here and there.
I was thinking about posters for concerts and how it would be great to see your artwork on some, recent ones.
Yeah. The most recent poster I did was for the Poulsbo Film Festival. And that came about because I did I have an art show that's still hanging at Vibe Co-works in Poulsbo. And a bunch of my prints and posters were up there. And my aunt made 2 giant quilts out of like 60-some, 70-some T-shirts of mine. And somebody from the film festival, Kevin Sheen, showed up there and ended up hiring me to do their film festival poster that just came out. I just got one today here at this event. And, there's a cool dog in here.
It's a small world. I'm actually glad we were able to connect with you here. And, after us being involved with the Poulsbo Film Festival, it's coming up October 15th that we're going to be out there as part of the horror block. And then finding out that you did the poster for it and then having you here, it's nice that we're all connected.
How are you involved with the film festival? You guys are...
They just invited us to be like press.
Just to come out and do some press.
Nice. Are you going to do a podcast from there?
I don't know.
Maybe. He's not sure if any filmmakers, anybody's showing up or who.
I bet there will be.
I'm hoping. And
it's their first year, so it's just starting. So
if anything, we'll just take notes and probably maybe chat up a couple patrons and see what they thought of some of the films. And I'm sure the filmmakers, if they don't make it, they'd still like to hear good reviews about their stuff.
I'll be up there for that.
Yeah, that'll be cool. We'll definitely see you that night. What other, what's next?
What's next? Well, let's see. What's going on right now? There's a comic from Canada called Spread Love, which is kind of like an underground comic, and I've been contributing some work to them, and I'm getting ready to do a cover for them. I just did a couple of labels for some salsa for some folks.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's see, what else am I doing? I've got some commissions that came up for my art show, so doing some drawings for some people. I'm finishing up a book project with Steve Moriarity. We're not related, but we even spell our names differently, but he was the drummer for The Gits, punk rock band from early 90s in Seattle. And he's writing a memoir, and I illustrated 3 or 4 chapters of his book, and so he's wrapping that up. I'm working with Frank M. Young. He is a cartoonist and writer. He's probably known best for his book about the Carter family that he did with David Lasky. And him and I have co-written an idea for a all ages book. And we've got it written and we've got it storyboarded. And now it's up to me to illustrate it. And I've started illustrating it, but it's one of those projects where every time I get a freelance job, I stop and do the freelance job and then go back to the book. And then I get another freelance job and I stop. And so it's kind of like a stuttering project, as I generally do a lot of T-shirts and record covers and stickers and flyers and things like that. The most recent flyer I did was for they call it a Peacock Punker Party in San Francisco at the Peacock Lounge. And that's coming up here in October. So that's something that I just finished. And then I start thinking about the things I have to do, and it starts to stress me out. You know, I've got like a checklist. And so, yeah, it's ongoing.
So you mentioned, I'm curious, you're working on that book, and you like say you keep having to stop to do some freelance stuff. Does that throw you off the project? Like, to throw off your mindset for the project, or are you able to jump back in? And
yeah, I see what you're saying. Where you kind of have to compartmentalize your concentration, and I usually try to work on one thing at a time, and I focus on it like a laser. And if I have to divide my attention up, it slows down the process a bit. So I try just to focus on one thing at a time. And so this book project's going a little slower because I focus on my freelance work, because, I don't really have a job. I'm a freelance cartoonist. And so I got to earn X amount of dollars every month to keep the lights on. And so, but luckily, I think it's just from just being around long enough, your reputation catches up with you. And so I've kind of got like a short waiting list of people that want me to do projects for them. So it keeps me going.
So it kind of keeps you knowing how far in advance the bills are paid. That's good.
Yeah. I never know what I'm doing 2 months in advance, because it's a freelance lifestyle. It would stress some people out to not know. But I've been doing this since, I quit my job at Fantagraphics in 1998 to see if I could make it as a freelancer. And I really haven't had a real job since then, other than being an adjunct professor at the Seattle Art Institute, teaching one class a week or two classes a week for a while. Other than that, it's just working at home.
Well, it's great you've been able to keep yourself afloat, at least. With things
it's
that you
a
love to do.
too.
Doing what you love, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the print industry seems to be shrinking, so it's like more and more, rather than specializing in print, sometimes I feel like what I'm doing is designing a deluxe JPEG for people to use on social media and stuff like that. So it's still illustration, it's still cartooning and everything. But, I've also kind of segued into animation to deal with that. And like that Realm Beyond Reason thing we were talking about. Most recently, I did a official music video for The Replacements. They're a Minneapolis band. And Rhino Records re-released their first album, and they made music videos out of a few of their songs. And my animation partner, Seth Zeichner, and I did the song Shut Up off their first album. And I've got another project that I don't know if I want to talk about it too much or I'll jinx it, but I've got the script written and I've got the thing storyboarded, and now I'm into the character design phase of it, and that'll be something I'll come up with here soon. I'll say more about it when it gets more into being real.
We'll definitely be watching, hear about that.
Yeah.
So I know this is a dumb question, but is there any project that you've done or been involved with that you're most proud of? I know it's like asking who's your favorite kid or something, but
yeah. I would probably say no, and it's because I've done so many things, and like I focus on each project that like I'd like to think you can point at anything I've done, and it's like a viable thing from my career. But I can't think of really any one thing I've done that I would hang my hat on. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, you were in Mad Magazine." I was in Mad Magazine like twice or three times. It's like, so I can't hang my hat on that. And Nickelodeon, well, Nickelodeon isn't around anymore, so I can't hang my hat on that. Oh well, you did this record cover for that. Well, that band's broke up now, so I can't hang my hat on that. And it's so like. I said this in another interview, but I kind of feel like a bricklayer. I feel like everything I make is like another brick, and they're all good, solid bricks, and it all adds up to this big wall or this big structure. And I have quality control issues about everything that I make, so I'm proud of everything I've done. I do feel like my best work's ahead of me because you just get better if you keep at it. And so I just keep at it. And people keep asking me to make stuff. So until like I keel over or until my eyes pop out of my head or get, carpal tunnel, I'll just keep doing this to the grave. I'm dug in too deep to quit now.
Just keep building that wall.
Yeah, I'm not good for much else than zany artwork.
Well, the world needs it. So, how about a dream gig? Is there any dream gig that you would love to do that you would hang your hat on?
Oh, like what would be a dream job? A dream gig? Oh, I would like to write, storyboard, and design an animated feature film. That would be awesome. And then like actually have a decent budget and a professional crew. That would be great. The animated shorts I've worked on have been inspiring. It would also be cool to just be able to drop all these nickel and dime freelance jobs and just focus on a book and work just on that until it's done. But like I say, you got to keep earning money as you go, but it would be a dream job to just stop. I'd like to retire.
Job, yeah.
What I'd like to do is retire so I could get a bunch of work done.
Yeah. So over the years, what has there been any feedback, or positive feedback that's really just resonated and stood out for you? That you think about and like think back, like if you're having a tough time, you're have a artist block or something, and you think about something that a fan said that just drives you. Well,
a big one for me was back in '96. I got written up in Rolling Stone magazine. It was probably something that made me get the nerve to quit my job. But they had this yearly issue called the Hot List, and they had like hot actor, hot writer, hot director, and hot cartoonist was one of them. And I was the hot cartoonist in 1996, and that really lit a fire under my butt,
Rightfully so.
And getting recognized by your peers or your heroes is certainly something that is inspiring. And when I first started doing comics, I was encouraged by Harvey Pekar. He's deceased now, but he was an autobiographical writer. He did American Splendor, and he wrote the introduction to my first comic book. So that like lit a fire under my butt when somebody who's way more along than you, and they see something in you when you're, still young and full of potential, but not really much of a track record yet. So that kind of stuff. And what's weird now, like you were talking about Grit City Comics, somebody came up to my table, and they had a bunch of stuff for me to sign, and it was almost kind of creepy because they knew more about my life than I did. And they had like all kinds of obscure things for me to sign, or where did you get that? How did you know about that? And it's like, since I'm so isolated at home, it's sometimes sort of strange when I leave the house and then I meet somebody that knows a whole lot about me that I've never met. And so that's one thing about being an artist, I think, that where I kind of jokingly say that I feel like, as an artist, I feel like the Unabomber. I'm in my cabin and I'm like a mad scientist and I'm working on my thing, and I'm staying, and then I send it off and I'm not there when it goes off, and I'm like, was it a dud, or did it explode? I'll find out later whether it was well received or not. So it's like a real passive aggressive way of being an entertainer. Like, I don't like being on stage and I don't like being the center of attention, but being a cartoonist is a way to be in the entertainment industry, but you kind of get famous for staying home.
Yeah. Voice work seems like a good gig. That's kind of like that too. You just go in the booth, do your thing, and then you're done. And
yeah, but you have to go to the studio to do that.
Yeah.
It's
well,
like,
some people can do
I
it
just
from home now.
walk out to my studio garage and work, and then I send my digital files off. Like, I don't even leave the property. And sometimes I'll do a freelance job and I don't even ever talk to the person. It's just by email. It's just so detached. So then when I finally do leave and go to a comic convention or someplace, and then realize there's people that know who I am, and it's like, oh, I forgot that people are seeing this. It's kind of like doing it in a vacuum.
That's interesting thing I never thought of. I mean, you think, like you said, entertainment actors and stuff, they do want that spotlight.
Yeah, they want to be seen doing their thing live.
Yeah.
They want to be appreciated, and they want to look out at the audience and see them watching them do their thing. But I'm like the opposite. It's like, I don't want anybody looking over my shoulder watching me draw. It makes me creeping me out. It's like I do it by myself,
Yeah, and I feel like artists, the main reason they're doing it is because they love doing it. So it's like you're not thinking about like, God, 1 million people are going to see this.
You're doing it for yourself, mostly.
Well, I'm doing it to keep the bills paid, but I'm compelled to do it. And, like you've seen my artwork, I'm a little OCD on the cross-hatching. There's a Zen state of line after line after line, methodically, and it's very soothing and cathartic to do it. I've sometimes ruined a piece of artwork by over cross-hatching it. So,
So you just have notebooks just full of just cross-hatching for...
Well, I don't draw,
just
this is another thing that is different about me. There's I don't ever really draw for the hell of it. It's always just for something. It's like, okay, this is a sticker. Okay, this is a record cover. Okay, this is a T-shirt. This is for an event. This is a festival thing. So it's like everything has to have a purpose. And it's like I don't feel like I have anything to say unless somebody has a problem. And then I'm like, tell me about it. Like, I got this event coming up and it's over here and it's on this date and it's the theme of it is gothic, vampire, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden my mind starts thinking and I start coming up with a creative solution to their problem, Or if someone needs a record, it's like, let me listen to the demos. And then can I see the lyrics? And then like Neutral Boy, they let me name the songs. They let me name the album. They let me do the cover and everything without any, interference. And so then that was a great creative opportunity where I otherwise would not have had anything to do. So I don't just draw in a sketchbook. It's like more like what who needs something and what's the problem? And what does this artwork have to do? It has to make you buy the record. It has to make you buy the shirt. It has to make you be curious enough to look at the print closer. It's got to make you go to the event. So it's like the artwork has to do something, And if I'm just drawing in my sketchbook, it's like for no good reason. I almost kind of feel like I'm wasting my time if I'm just drawing in a sketchbook. It's like, why am I putting all this effort into this drawing that no one's going to see and it's not for anything? I know that doesn't make sense, and I know it's my own mental tick as an artist, but I think it's because I went to school for graphic design, which is basically brainwashing the students into problem solving for clients. And so I problem solve for clients with ridiculous cartoon images.
See, I feel like it almost sounds like though you are your job is, you are secluded when you work, but it is still almost a collaborative effort.
It almost always is. Like my Big Mouth comics, I did a comic in the 1990s for Fantagraphics called You and Your Big Mouth. And the whole thing was kind of like the opposite of American Splendor, where Harvey Pekar did autobiographical stories with different cartoonists. And I thought, well, I'll do a book with all these different writers and I'll do the art. And so each story was a collaboration. And I feel like if I'm doing a record cover, I'm collaborating with the musicians because I'm trying to make the artwork have something to do with the music. And if I'm doing a poster, I'm collaborating with the event, trying to come up with something. And so I always kind of interrogate the person that wants me to do something. And I never do what they tell me to do. Nobody ever actually tells me what to draw or what the image is supposed to be. That's sort of like my thing. But I try to get as much information from the person to try to feel like I understand what their problem is and what they need and how best to serve them. So it is almost every single thing I've done has been in accordance with somebody else.
Well, I would say, I'd say that they're not giving you any direction or instructions really because they already know your art style and they trust you. And they trust that you're going to do,
but by the time they get to me, they want a ridiculous Pat Moriarity drawing, and they don't want to influence what that is. But if someone comes up to me and they're like, hey, I want you to draw John Travolta in a convertible, and he's going down a hill, and he's got a big head and a little body. Already I'm like, stop. I'm not drawing that. I have to sign it. And it's like, your dumb idea, and then I have to sign it. It's going to reflect badly on my, I'm like a brand now. And so I want to take the blame for the image, and I don't want to draw someone else's idea because why would you want to draw something that someone who can't draw is in charge? It's that's be like having a songwriter or a musician have somebody tell them how to write a song, and they can't, somebody who's never written a song. It's like, that's taking orders from the wrong party. I'd rather come up with the image, myself, and come up with the concept and stuff. So I'm not the perfect freelancer for some people because some people just want you to draw what they want you to draw, like a dancing monkey. And I'm not a dancing monkey, I'm like, I kind of feel like the jobs I do is welcoming somebody to join my body of work. And it's my body of work. And it's not just me drawing something for somebody that needs me to draw something specific, I'm not the person to do that.
Well, I think before we wrap up, I wanted to definitely have you mention your website or any social media presence.
My main website is patmoriarity.com, and it's spelled Moriarity. So there's 2 I's in there. But you can also find out a lot about me by spelling my last name wrong, I've noticed. And but honestly, I mostly post stuff on Facebook, and it's not like I'm all big on Facebook either. But if I had to pick a social media poison. Back in the day, I picked Facebook, and I don't want to get on Instagram, and I don't want to get all this. Any other social, I don't want to babysit more than one social media presence. So I guess I'm stuck with Facebook. Maybe people are telling me to switch over to Instagram because that's more of a visual thing. But I get a lot of work from posting my work on Facebook. And I'm very negligent of updating my actual website. But if you friend me on Facebook or follow me on Facebook, almost every other day I post something ridiculous that I've been working on, and that's a good way to keep up with me. I have a LinkedIn page, I guess I thought that was going to be a good business thing, but I'm not really sure if LinkedIn is good for anything. But So LinkedIn and Facebook and patmoriarty.com. That's basically it.
All right. And us being a horror themed show, what is your, I know you're a fan of horror. What inspired your enjoyment of the genre?
Well, that goes back to my childhood. And when I was a little kid living in Chicago, I was way too young to do this, but my brothers and I would stay up late and we would watch Creature Features, this local TV show, and they had a guy dressed up like a mad scientist, and there was always a double feature. And so I was introduced to all the Universal horror monster movies. So I was, Frankenstein and the Wolfman and Bela Lugosi as Dracula and Boris Karloff and all that stuff just scared the shit out of me and thrilled me to no end as a young kid. And then also I was into monsters. Like there was a show called Milton the Monster that I used to watch as a kid that was kind of a Frankenstein animated show. And then as I got older, I got into stuff like The Shining and The Exorcist and that stuff like when I was younger. And honestly, new horror films don't scare me that much. And it's just all these franchises, I'm just sort of disappointed with them for the most part. I liked some of those things like the Blair Witch Project and stuff like that seemed to be like yeah. But these jump scare type movies that don't have a plot, or those movies where, okay, there's 12 teenagers going camping together and each one gets killed one by one until finally the last one faces off with the serial killer. It's like, the slasher films and stuff, not into it.
Some of that has been kind of beaten to death.
Some of them are beaten to death. Yeah, I agree. Something I just can't seem to get into is the M. Night Shyamalan twist. And the suspense is building up more and more, and then at the end to find out that water is the weakness, or just something
some
simple.
throwaway answer that sort of lets the air out of the movie.
Yeah, it's that's it. That's all you got. We've been building up for an hour and a half. That's it. Water.
Yeah. I used to work for Something Weird Video. Are you familiar with that company? They you should look into them, but they re-released a whole bunch of old B movies of horror films and burlesque movies and all kinds of drive-in movie low budget films, but they have a bunch of great old horror films, and so I got into a lot tongue-in-cheek interest in movies that were accidentally terrible, but so terrible that they end up being interesting,
entertaining in some way.
Yeah, like those Ed Wood movies, Plan 9 from Outer Space and stuff like that.
Cool. Well, Pat, thank you for coming down and hanging out with us at Jack Action. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks for your interest in my work. I appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah, we'll keep in touch, and we'll definitely see you around. See you in Paulsbo.
All right, and I'll look for the Steve Crypto Show podcast when it comes out, and I'll look back at your older shows and see what you got.
Cool. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
You're listening to the Steve and Crypto podcast. This is Jack Rudo from the Stapled Spine fanzine here in Horror, Oregon. We write and publish everything from horror comics, bands, movies, puzzles, mazes, dirty jokes, sometimes boobs. I don't know. Come find us. StapledSpine.com.
Check out these shows available now on Fearflix.
And welcome to another collection of frightfully good films from Fearflix, Gothic Horrors, with me, your host, Malvolia, the Queen of Screams.
Hey, I'm Pamela Such. You know me from all the Wave movies. And here we are, we're going to play Curse of the Swamp Creature 2.
Hello, guys. I'm Rachel Waits.
And I'm Elise Costin.
Welcome to Silent Screams.
I'm Pamela Such.
I'm Monica Hayes. Thank you for tuning in to 70s Grind Out on Fearflix.
Hey y'all, I'm Sherry Davis, your host for this wild and untamed collection of horror films from Fearflix. We wrangled up a selection of Texas horrors for this one. Welcome to Lone Star Horrors.
These shows, movies, and much more available now on Fearflix. Download it on your Roku channel store today.
Hey, this is Dr. Gangrene. You're watching the Steve. No, you're not. You're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show right here on whatever network you're on. I don't know what you're on. Don't ask me. I can't see what you're doing, but keep listening and tune in next week for more cool content on the Steve and Crypto Show.
Hey, we are back. Thanks to Pat for that chat. It was good to actually sit down and talk with him. I just communicated with him on like messaging on Facebook and stuff, but it was cool to finally sit down and spend a couple hours and BS with him and hear stories.
Yeah.
Go to patmoriarity.com. The link will be in the show notes. About time we got to trivia. We're gonna do, since it's a big it's all the talk right now still. A lot of people consider Terrifier 2 the best horror movie of the year, and it's arguably is. Like, it's good. If you like gory horror, it's really good. It took those elements from the first movie and added more of a story to it and made it even better. And it's like kicking ass. Like, it was supposed to play like 2 days in select theaters, and now it's
been a couple weeks now.
It's been over a month. It's made over $10 million in theaters, and I think it only had, what was it, like a $40,000 or $50,000 budget or something like that, or $500,000. I don't know. It was a really ridiculous small budget. But so that's going to lead us into our trivia. If you guys are ready, you know what to do. If you have the answer, message one of us. The answer, we'll get your address, send you some Stephen Crypto stickers, and put your name on the list to be entered in a drawing for even bigger prizes. So, you guys ready? Since we're talking about Terrifier 2, who is the director of Terrifier 1 and 2?
That's a good question.
That's a good one. You guys should know. You guys should know. You guys could look it up. Fucking Google it if you don't know. Or go watch the movie and you'll see the name pop up. Director, created by, like, do it. That's the way to do it. Don't Google it. Go watch the movie and get the name that way if you don't know. But it's a good one. My dog is yelling at me, so that's kind of my cue.
Yeah, was your dog just barking the answer?
He was.
Oh, don't give it away.
Don't tell the answer, you son of a bitch. He's not a son of a bitch. He's awesome. Before we wrap it up here, I just want to ask, who watched the Weird Al movie? Like, I watched it twice yesterday, and I fucking loved it. It was awesome. I never knew Weird Al Yankovic had such a rough upbringing and such a hard knock life and such a battle with so many demons and all that stuff. Now, if you know Weird Al Yankovic, his music, it's parodies of other songs. So this movie is basically a parody of, like, musician biopics. So check it out. It's fun. Even the description, he's like, it's like the totally unexaggerated story of like one of the greatest musicians and sex symbols ever or something like ridiculous. But anyways, let's get out of here. We got to get ready for episode 100. So why don't you tell everybody where to show us love, and let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, we have a lot to get ready for, and as we said, episode 100 is coming up real soon, so stay tuned for that one. But until then, if you're looking for more content, head over to patreon.com/SteveCrypto to check out some exclusive videos and some exclusive podcasts to listen to. There's a little mixture of a couple different things. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. Go check it out. Patreon.com/SteveCrypto. Also, head over to our Facebook group. Just look up the Steve and Crypto Show and you'll find it. Come join, be a member, and contribute if you like. You can visit our Buy Me a Coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/SteveCrypto, and contribute there. And we greatly appreciate everyone who has contributed so far. Thank you again. And last but not least is our Etsy page, Etsy/shop/Steve and Crypto merch. Go get a shirt, grab a mug, grab a magnet. It looks great on your fridge. I think that about does it.
And don't forget to leave us a rating and review wherever you listen.
Of course.
And my lights are flickering, so we need to hurry and get the fuck out of here. So
yeah, don't lose your power again.
Been the Steve and Crypto Show. Thanks, guys.
We'll catch you on 100. Peace.